Sometimes you have to encourage yourself. Sometimes you have to speak victory during the test. And no matter how you feel, speak the word and you will be healed. Speak over yourself, encourage yourself in the Lord. Sometimes you have to speak the word over yourself. Depression is all around, but God is present help. Well, the enemy created walls, but remember giants, they do fall. Speak over yourself, encourage yourself in the Lord. Oh, as I minister to you, Lord, I minister to myself. Life can hurt you so till you feel there's nothing left. Oh, no matter how you feel, speak the word and you will be healed. Speak over yourself, encourage yourself in the Lord. Oh, as I minister to you, Lord, I minister to myself. Life can hurt you so till you feel there's nothing left. Oh, no matter how you feel, speak the word and you will be healed. Speak over yourself, encourage yourself in the Lord.
I don't know whether I was sleeping or whether it was a vision, but she comes to me in spirit, and I don't know if she's here for herself or whether God has sent her for me, and perhaps it's a little both, but I begin to pray in my spirit because I already sense in her eyes, as I can discern them, that she is on the verge of quitting. Not school, not a job, but life. I am reminded, of course, that I have just read the scripture concerning the prophet who had become tired of doing well and not receiving the reward. spirit being vexed, but she comes to me, and I can tell that on some level, if someone doesn't reach her, perhaps myself, I don't know that she's going to make it. I see her, but I don't think that she sees me. But sometimes we sense things in the spirit and we're not even aware that we are. But I see her clearly. I feel her anxiety, her frustration, her anger, her bitterness, those things that she lacks, those things that she craves, those things that she wants. And I know she's hollow on the inside. She has been deceived by the voices of pain and struggle, betrayal, and most of all, a self-loathing, self-pity, low self-esteem. And I speak to her and I pray for her and I cry out to her, even as I cry out to the Lord, that the Lord will somehow speak to her, that He will use this moment in the spirit, that I might be able to communicate with her, to let her know that her life is worth the living. And perhaps her gender is not female. Perhaps she is not as I discerned her in my own eyesight, but it is a soul. It is a living being, a person, one of God's children. And her heart cries out to me just as many hearts cry unto the Lord, even my own at some point. She is in desperate need of encouragement, not just with words, but encouragement in her spirit. And I say to her, I attempt to speak in words, but more in spirit than with the vocabulary that I have become so used to using. And I say to her, listen, you have so much potential. You are a daughter. And even if you don't know who your father is, or if you know who your father is, it's of no consequence, because you are a daughter. You are my daughter, even if you are not biological, even if you're not flesh of my flesh and blood my blood. You're my daughter. Perhaps you're someone in the community. Perhaps you're someone next door. Perhaps you're even my enemy's child. But whatever the reality of it is, you are a person, you are a being, you are significant. God cares for you. There is a reason why He formed you out of the dust and brought you into this world via your mother's womb. There is a reason for you. And I know that right now, this moment in time that you're in, your mind perhaps is filled with sorrow and questions and low value for yourself. I know that you've been lied to. I know that your mind continues to just haunt you and tells you what is the purpose of life, because every time you take one step forward, you pull two steps backwards. I know that you feel like you're at your life's end. And no doubt you've already thought to yourself, this world would be a better place without you. But I want you to know that's not true. Look at me, listen to me, hear me. It is not a better place without you, because you are here to make the world a better place. And the world will not be stronger if we lose you who feels like you are the weakest link, because no chain is stronger than its weakest link. And you have so much to give, so much to offer, so much God has put into you. Even if you don't see yourself as being beautiful, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. And you should behold even beyond your skin and see that your life itself is a work of art. She is not here in the mirror. And then I sense in the spirit a moving one who is called Rosalie. And Rosalie comes and she speaks and says, do not allow people to make you feel less than who you are. Allow your value to be determined by God, not by the voices of men or women, boys and girls, not by the voices of the situations of the circumstances that you might be in, but rather be strong in the value that God gives into your life. For every day He gives you this breath. Every day He gives you this opportunity to live life. Don't allow someone to talk you out of no evil force, no whispering, no words coming from the enemy, but rather put your trust in how God describes you. as being more than a conqueror. Realize that life itself is important, and so is yours. They call me Sissy, Punk, and a whole lot of other not so good names. They stole from me. It was the voice I heard in the spirit, coming from an entity I shall call Nigel. They have stolen from me my graduation because of their discouragement, because of their names, because of their ridicule to me. I was hurt, I was devastated, and I had no one to go to. I was lost and feeling down on myself and wondered, why is it that life was like this for me? I didn't ask to be this. It wasn't something that I chose. And I listened as Nigel began to go into how it is that these names and these people who had amassed themselves around him had caused him to feel insecure about himself. No one has a right to suggest that you are less than or somehow not good enough because you're not like them. And then she jumps in. I would just say her name is Alyssa. And Alyssa says that in my life, what caused me to get enough of my life was hearing people tell me that I was too black, that I was too dark, that I wasn't like them. My hair wasn't like theirs. I didn't fit like some of the models on the magazine, and that somehow I would never arise to be anyone. I listened to people tell me such things. And she turns over to her and says, don't listen to them when they speak these words of negativity about who you are and how you look and how you're shaping, how you're walking, how you act. Remind yourself that you are created especially and specifically by and for God's purpose, and let no one talk you out of who you are just because they don't like how you look. Yeah, people work your nerve. Don't let them get on your anxieties, girl. That's the next voice that I heard in the spirit. As she comes, her name is Emily, I believe. And Emily speaks a good word. She says to her, she says, listen to me. Those people don't mean you no good anyway, Shad. They gonna talk about you. They talked about Jesus. They talked about everybody. They talked about my mama. But I got tired of them talking about me. I could hear in her voice as she began to tremble and almost cry as she said how it just destroyed her as people continue to just work on her nerves about this thing and that thing, big things and little things. It's almost though she was not good enough. Somehow she would never ever fit in. People just worked her and grinded until her spirit had enough. And she broke. She had had enough. So she killed herself. All bullies. The whole world is a bully. Now rising, coming to the mic, is Isabel. And Isabel speaks these words. She said, I made just one bad decision. The Bible says that all have sinned and fallen short of God's glory. But these people acted as though they had done no wrong ever in their entire life. I made one decision. I made a video. And I should not have made the video. It was a bad decision on my part. But people would never let me forgive it. Every time I turn around, people were talking about me, whispering, calling me all kinds of names. And even though I must say that the decision was made simply out of money and it was a bad choice, nevertheless, I did make it. But all have done some wrong. But these people acted as though this one wrong defined my entire life. It disturbed me because I could not overcome it. It was enough. True that. I know all about those two brothers. Guilt and shame. Man, says this voice now in my spirit. It is that very same two kindred spirits, both evil and wicked, that caused me not to be able to smile and to appreciate the life that I had. I could not deal and bear with the guilt and the shame that I felt that gnawed that way at me every day. Could get no relief, no smiles. People could not speak any words of encouragement to my spirit because I felt so guilty and ashamed of the things that I had done, and I could not forgive myself. And then he looks at her and he says to her directly in the spirit, forgive yourself. If God has commanded man to forgive man, and God has given us Jesus as a sign of forgiveness, then forgive yourself, unless your life in that mind with enough. But I was never enough either. Even in my life, all my life, I was never enough. I wasn't like all the other students. I wasn't smart like some of the other students. I couldn't play football or basketball like the other students. I wasn't good at sports. As a matter of fact, I wasn't good at anything. Nobody liked me. It's the way I felt. My teachers didn't like me. I didn't think that I had any friends. And I just always struggled in my life. And I shouldn't have listened. And I don't want you to listen to what people say, not even what the voices in you say, which speak against your life. Just come to the realization that you are enough. Just believe it. Say it every day. I am enough. And don't hide. Don't hide behind a pretty face. Now comes a voice in the spirit who declares that it's not just good enough to be pretty on the outside, but rather don't allow the pretty on the outside to hide the ugly that you feel on the inside. Learn how to communicate. Learn how to tell people, even those people who think that you have it going on, even those people who feel as though nothing is wrong with you, but you know on the inside you're not right. Open up your mouth and say, I don't feel the way I look. I don't feel as people see me as being. I feel wretched. I feel ugly. Even if it sounds crazy, speak it and let somebody know that you're not feeling what you're looking like. People saw me, but they didn't hear me before I'd had enough. From the shadows to the light of the mic, now rises a figure who speaks loud and clearly. Listen to me. This thing, depression, will kill you. This quiet, silent frustration will destroy you. It doesn't matter how good you look on the outside. It will turn your feelings into facts, and it will make facts into feelings. And you'll be so confused that you won't be able to save yourself, and you'll be too silent and ashamed to allow someone else to hear the confusion and the sadness and the sorrow that's clawing at you every night and day. And it could happen so quickly. One day you could feel like, I got this under control. I can handle this. And then one thing can happen that will flip the switch and cause you to say it is enough. My heart breaks as a pretty little thing comes now to my focus, and she is not able to speak with words that are so great and wonderful, but now she impresses into my spirit to speak these words. She says, be careful about the movies that you watch, the songs that you listen to, the music and the movies, and be careful about all of this media stuff, that's social media. These voices speak to your spirit, words that suggest things to you about your own life. As a matter of fact, you see things that are on television, but somehow you confuse them at an early age into believing that somehow this is reality when it is not reality. This is not how reality works. People actually die. People suffer and cry when people are lost. You don't just come back alive after you've been shot. Those are movies, and the music will depress you. It did for me. Yeah, I think I agree with that. Now comes another beautiful bud that was cut off too early in life. She speaks to me and she says, mister, I thought that nobody would miss me. I thought that nobody would care. I thought that nobody in my school, nobody in my family, I thought that nobody would even really realize that I was gone. But now that I'm gone, I can see how wrong I was. I did hurt so many people by my death, by me taking my own life. I did cause my mother, who I thought didn't care about me, to really crying. Even now, she struggles. Even now, I know that she misses me. Why couldn't I see that when I was alive? But I took my life under the misbelief that my life was not cared for by anyone, but it was. I did not see it until it was enough. Romeo and Juliet was a tragic love story. And now these two come to the mic and they want you to know that you have to be very careful about the relationships that you get into. Never allow yourself to become so attached to someone to whereas if their life is taken, you will give yours as well. They speak to me and they talk about how their love had turned into something from something great to something terrible. They speak to me and tell me how it is that there were so many misunderstandings and how it is that a breakup could cost each one of them their life. When in truth, our lives, even if we live together collectively, our lives are supposed to still be individual in that we are to fulfill the work that the God that we serve has given us to fulfill. It ought not to be based upon someone else's love for us or their presence in our lives. Otherwise, it may be a Romeo and Juliet tragic ending. I was looking for love, I guess, in all the wrong places. It's what she says to me. She says, I just wanted somebody, anybody, to really appreciate who I am, who I was, how I felt. I wanted somebody to hug me, somebody I could talk to, somebody who could give back to me the very same type of love that I would give. And I searched for it diligently, and it cost me my life because I tried to make people love me. I gave them stuff, I gave them things, I gave them my body, I gave them myself, but most importantly, I gave them my soul, and it cost me my life. Why? Because you must learn one essential thing even before you get too far in life. Learn to love yourself. Learn to love yourself. I guess you could say I was the life of the party. Had a lot of friends around me, a lot of people who enjoyed my company, and we laughed. I was the life of the party. But what most people didn't know is that when the party lights went out, I was very dark. I was attached to people acknowledging me, people seeing me, people speaking well, because on the inside I wasn't feeling it. And you've got to be real to yourself. You've got to be real to everyone else. And you've got to realize that the best test of a person is when they are alone with themselves, when there are no party lights, when there are no friends around, when there's no one to talk to. Are you strong enough to be able to say, I'm good enough, even if I'm by myself? Or you'll have to say it is enough. Both of us, our eyes widen as Kendrea steps to the mic, and she says, I killed myself. I asked her, why? Why, Kendrea, what happened? She says, I killed myself because I was tired of being in the foster home. I was tired of going from one house to the next house, and I didn't like how they was treating me. I killed myself because I had enough, and if nobody wanted me, then I just don't want to be here no more. So I killed myself. How disturbing are her words to me. But then her spirit speaks to me and to both of us and says, now never allow the momentary situation that you're in to determine the entirety of your life. Never let the moment be enough when you have more moments to change. Wait a minute. I know this girl. I've seen this girl before. Wait a minute. That's the girl who was on a television show, 16 and pregnant. And now she comes and she speaks to both of us and she says, I rise because I want you to know that the substance that you use in life to escape the pain that you feel, be it alcohol, be it pills, be it some kind of drug or whatever, Those things are gateways not only to higher drugs, but also to lower thinking. And I allowed myself to get caught up in these things, trying to drown out the loss and the lack that I have felt as a result of having been to the mountaintop and now falling down into the valley. Realize that these things that are supposed to make you feel better are not better for you. They're only covering up what you need to deal with. And I had enough, so I overdosed. I sense Bryce is the last one, but not the least. Baby girl, listen to me, baby girl. I hear him saying, he speaks with sounds of convictions and truth. He says, what's good is for you to have all of this potential. You have a lot of potential. I had a lot of potential. I was on my way to college. I was a good football player. A lot of people said I was going to be somebody. But I guess maybe I got caught up in some bad feelings and some bad thoughts. And I was scared, and people didn't know that I was scared I wasn't going to fulfill their expectations. So he says to me, stop trying to fulfill the expectations of everybody else. Stop allowing other people to determine your value and your worth. Open up your mouth and speak the pain that you feel. And don't be afraid to love yourself. Potential is nothing if it's not realized. Well, I may not be much of a preacher, and definitely my life is not perfect. I struggle with some things. I struggle with voices that whisper things that are not of God in my own spirit. But I continue to remind myself that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth on him shall not perish but have everlasting life. And when it says God so loved the world, that means all those that have sinned. And the Bible says that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And it also says that by one man sin came into the world, but by one man's death, God gave the opportunity for forgiveness. Tell the devil it's enough. I live for Jesus today.
Sometimes you have to encourage yourself. Sometimes you have to speak this Invite yourself in the Lord.
I like being you, said the reflection in the mirror. To me, you are perfectly perfect. I blushed. Me? Yes, you. And by the way, you have wonderful eyes. I blinked, astonished. I do? Absolutely. They sparkle like stars on the darkest of nights. I gazed downward. Thank you. Your eyes sparkle too. Sweet of you to say. You have a marvelous voice. I gently whispered, You really think so? Of course. You sound as joyous as a songbird, whistling in the trees. And you have a magnificent smile. I sheepishly grinned. Well, Mama always says, start every day with a smile. I agree. Your smile is as bright and cheerful as the sun in the sky. And you are quite smart. I took a step towards the mirror. I do try very hard. You sure do. You're as brilliant as a rocket scientist. I like that you are friendly. I leaned in closer. It's very important to be nice, you know. It sure is. You're as peaceful as a butterfly. And you have a lot of courage. I raised my head high. I auditioned for the school play today. Outstanding. You're as brave as a lion. You're a fantastic dancer. I spread my arms wide. Watch how fast I can twirl. Around and around I went. Amazing. You're as graceful as a dolphin gliding through the sea. I plopped on the ground, giggling as the room playfully spun around. And you have a terrific laugh. Thank you very much. Your chuckle fills the air with bubbly joy. But most of all, I like your heart. Your kindness is as beautiful as a rainbow. I stood up and walked towards the mirror. To me, you are perfectly perfect. I gently pressed my hands against the glass. I like being you. We smiled in unison. I like being you too. I want to be you forever.